Hey everyone, it's Gina and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be going through my everyday makeup routine. It's very easy and practical and wearable for day to day. This is typically what I do on busy mornings when I have to head out the door to work. I know I haven't done a lot of makeup videos recently because we have been going through the Curly Hair Care for Beginners video series. So I've really been just trying to crank out videos in that series, but I do also want to share some beauty stuff here and there. So I hope you enjoy this routine. I hope you find it helpful. You might have noticed I'm also in a different setup because I'm trying to make these a little bit easier to film and get out the door. So I am just sitting at my makeup vanity like I would be on a day-to-day basis. So let's go ahead and get started. So I wanted to quickly share what I have been using for my moisturizer because this is a big part of my makeup routine because this is sort of like a tinted moisturizer. This is from Cetaphil. This is the Redness Relieving Daily Facial Moisturizer with Sunscreen for redness prone skin. So it does have sunscreen in it. I really like this because it has a tint to it, so it helps neutralize any redness. I love this in the summertime too, just wearing alone without makeup because it does have a little bit of coverage and it's SPF 20 and I recommend wearing SPF every day. So I usually always start off with this, and this is a big reason of why I don't really have to wear a foundation because this gives me a good even coverage over my face. It's still sheer, like you can still see my freckles and my dark spots showing through. But now for just a little bit of primer. I usually only do this step if I really want my makeup to stay on a long time. I don't necessarily do it every day, but I wanted to share this one because I've been testing it out and I wanted to hear if you have any thoughts on it, if you guys have tried it. This is the Urban Decay All Nighter Face Primer, and this says it's a long wear foundation grip and it helps smooth. So I'm gonna actually be using a powder foundation. So I want to make sure that my powder foundation has something to stick to. So I'm just going to apply this to any areas that tend to get oily for me. But lately my skin has been really good to me. I don't want to speak too soon and then it not be good, but it's not really as oily anymore since I haven't been using regular liquid foundation. I still need some more time to test this out, but so far I've been liking it and my skin hasn't broken out or anything. I'm always really careful about what liquid products I'm applying on my face because I do struggle with clogged pores so much, and I haven't really noticed any yet with this, so I'll keep a close eye on that. I don't think it has silicone in it either. I did check, so if you're sensitive to silicone primers, then you should be good to go with that one. Next up, I'm using the Urban Decay Stay Naked Correcting Concealer, and I do want to recommend some other drugstore alternatives with all of these products, so I will list those out on the blog post that goes with this video. But for example, I really like this one from e.l.f. This is the 16-Hour Camo Concealer. I just recently got the new Urban Decay Stay Naked collection as well as the All Nighter collection. I've been testing them out, and so that's why I've been using them every day, and I really like the concealer. This one is very comparable to the e.l.f. one. I know it seems weird to compare a high-end one to the drugstore, but I love the e.l.f. one so much. But this one has been really great as well. I would say they're pretty much equal to me. Like there's not one that I like more than the other. I've just been testing the All Nighter collection, so that's why I've been using that. So I'm just applying this under my eyes and then I'm blending it out using this e.l.f. like selfie ready foundation brush or something. I like doing it this way because it's just so quick. I was using like a damp beauty blender or like a makeup sponge, but honestly when I'm in a hurry I don't even feel like wetting the sponge, and I would always forget to wet it once I sat down. But this is easier because I can just kind of drag it down onto my cheeks a little bit, and that's giving me a little bit of coverage, and I just use whatever's left over right there on my nose. But super easy and quick. So now for the powder foundation, again, I've been testing this one from Urban Decay from the Stay Naked line. This is the Fix, and my shade is in 30WY. This is a really great powder foundation. This has more coverage than the other one that I was using. So the drugstore alternative is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte 16-Hour Wear Matte Finish Powder. So this is a tinted powder. This did give me great coverage, but once I started testing this one out, I'm like, this has a lot more coverage because it is like an actual powder foundation versus the L'Oreal, I think it's just like a powder that has a tint. So I just apply this all over my face. And I usually apply a little bit more where I need more coverage, like right here. And of course, since I'm filming, I totally forgot to do my face concealer. So I am gonna go in afterwards with it, but I'm just going to use a little tiny bit because I don't want it to get cakey. I just need a little bit of coverage right here. For that, I'm using this one from Revlon. This is the Photo Ready Concealer. This one has decent coverage. I think it's better than a lot of other drugstore concealers, but my all-time favorite is one from Amazing Cosmetics, but I ran out of it. I haven't repurchased it because I wanted a cheaper alternative. So to blend that out, I'm just gonna take a synthetic blending brush. Normally I would do this before my powder, but if you have trouble with your concealer sticking, you can try doing it after your powder because the powder kind of gives it something to stick to. You just have to be really careful to not let it get cakey when you're putting a cream product over top of powder. It's kind of backwards. So for every day, I normally don't worry about if I have perfect coverage, so sometimes there's still marks showing through. Okay, now again, I'm going in with more Urban Decay. Sorry guys, I will make sure to list out some cheaper alternatives because I know a lot of you guys like drugstore recommendations. But this is the Urban Decay threesome. This is the Stay Naked. This is in the shade Naked. It says 14-hour wear, bronzer, highlighter, and blush, and I can definitely attest to that because I've worn this a long time and it definitely holds up. But I love how this palette has everything in one, so I can use it every day, and the shades are great just for everyday wear. So I like the Naked shade. They have other shades depending on what your skin color is. So I'm just taking this Sigma soft angle contour brush. I like contouring with this just because it's really easy and I don't have to do a lot of blending. I just do a little bit like this and blend it out. Now this bronzer does have a little bit of shimmer in it, and normally you wouldn't use a bronzer with shimmer as a contour, but I honestly don't notice the shimmer at all when I put it on my cheeks, so I don't mind using it as a contour, but it's not technically a contour, it's actually a bronzer, but I still use it as a contour powder. And I don't think it makes me look too orangey or anything, but it's definitely really pigmented. And I just go around at my hairline, and then I usually go underneath my jawline. If you need to blend it out more, I recommend just taking the powder brush. Oh, I forgot to mention the powder brush I'm using. This one is from Becca. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I got this in like a Becca powder set. But if you want a drugstore alternative for a powder brush, I really recommend this e.l.f. one from Target. It's really affordable. It's just a powder brush and it has the same type of shape. It's a little bit smaller and not quite as dense as that Becca one, so that's usually why I reach for the Becca one, just because I can get it on a lot quicker. But I did want to still recommend that one because I like it. So now I'm just taking a Sigma blush brush and I'm going right in on the blush shade right there. And I'm just going to apply a little bit to my cheeks. So this is a really great everyday blush. It matches my natural skin tone really good and just really goes with everything. It's kind of on the peachy side. So it's more of like a summery spring color, but I've been wearing it in the winter. Really gives a healthy glow to the cheeks, really natural. Then for highlighter, a lot of times I'll just use this right here, but keep in mind, this is not super pigmented as a crazy bright highlighter. For a bright highlighter, I would recommend this one from Pixi. This is the Glowy Glossomer Duo and Delicate Dew. I really like these. Other highlighters, I really like the Pixi ones. I also have this Pixi, what is this? The Rach Loves Pixi palette. I use these highlighters a lot too because they're really pigmented and they give a really great punch. So I will link you to some other recommendations, but I'm probably gonna use the Pixi one today. I'm gonna just go with that pink shade because it's a little bit more vibrant, and I just take it down my nose. And I really like kind of a bright highlight, but that one in the Urban Decay palette is great just for every day. And then I also take a little bit on my inner corners because I don't wear eyeshadow every day, so this is a really great way to still kind of brighten up my eyes and make them look more awake. All right, now onto brows, and honestly I just use 1 or 2 steps because I like it to be really quick. So this is the Instant Brow Fix from Thrive Cosmetics. I really like this one. I probably need the lighter shade, but I already used it up, so now I'm using the shade in Serena, which is a dark brown. I have light brown hair though, so I probably should be using the lighter brown one. But I like this tinted brow gel because it's like just a one step, so I don't have to do a whole lot. So it fills them in and it tames them at the same time. And instead of using a pencil, lately I've just been using the tinted brow gel to actually fill in my brows. So for the areas that I need to actually fill in, I just press a little bit harder, so I'm like applying the product to my skin at that point, but you still have to be really careful to not gob it on because I make a mess some mornings with it, so I do have to be really careful. So I pretty much just like to fill in my arch, but I like it to be really natural for every day, so I'm not like wanting a harsh line, which is another reason I like doing this technique. I have a video that I did on how to get really natural feathered brows, and in that video I focus on just how to kind of brush them upward to help fill in, and it really gives like a really nice youthful look when they're just kind of like brushed up. So I also need to kind of fill in the tail end a little bit, so I just kind of press a little bit harder, and as you can see, that applies a little bit more product directly to the skin to help fill it in. And if that's too much, I'll just take a clean spoolie like this and I'll just kind of go over it to soften it. And sometimes I even will take a concealer brush like this one that's flat and pointed, and I will clean up the edge just to help kind of diffuse that harsh line. I usually always have to clean them up because I can have a heavy hand when it comes to brows. I think we all can. Once it's dry, I just go back over it with a clean spoolie, and that kind of softens it up a little bit so it's not too intense. So after that dry, sometimes I will go in with this e.l.f. Active Sweat Resistant Clear Brow Gel, and I will just kind of touch up, like I'll just go back through my brows and add a little bit more because this really will lock them in place. I think the Thrive one is not a strong hold brow gel, it's definitely a lighter hold one. So if you have curly hair like me, then you will understand how our brow hairs kind of like to go wild because of our hair texture. So they kind of can move out of place throughout the day. Plus my hair gets in them and everything else. So this really locks them in place, and it just helps also give that feathered look even more. Okay, now brows are done and it's time to move on to liner. So typically I will use one of the Urban Decay liners. I didn't even mean for this all to be Urban Decay. I'm sorry, I know you're probably like, this is way too expensive, but these are honestly my favorite, and I always recommend them to everyone because these are really long wearing and they don't smudge on me. So I usually alternate between the shades. See how much I use this one? You can't even tell what the shade is. It's a dark brown. Demolition, that's the shade. So look how little it is. I use this one for the most part because it's just a great neutral dark brown. I also use Roach a lot, which is a lighter brown if I really just want a natural look. And then this is the one in Zero, which is a dark black. So I think I'm probably gonna go with Demolition just because it's my favorite and I always go for this. And it gives me a nice brown look. So I actually need to sharpen that real quick. Little tip, if you're using pencil liner, you definitely wanna start with it sharp because that's gonna help give you a better clean line. What I like to do with this is I usually start on the upper lash line and I keep the line very close to my lashes and I just kind of dab it on. I'm not like drawing a harsh line, I'm just kind of dabbing it, taking it down onto the inner corner just a little bit. And then I will take a flat definer brush like this one from Sigma, and I just use this to blend that right in. I just kind of wiggle it back and forth. You can also use this brush, like you can apply the liner right on the brush and then use it to apply the liner if you have trouble applying pencil liner. And as you can see, that kind of just smudges it into the lash line and blends it out so you don't have like a harsh line. So now I'm gonna go onto the lower lash line, so I just connect it right there and then start taking it in. And I usually don't go all the way in, I usually go about 3/4 of the way. And then I will blend whatever is left over down onto the inner corner with the brush. So I'm just kind of smudging it back and forth. And I'm not like smoking it out or anything, I'm just like softening the line. And then I just place it right at the corner and I flick it up towards my brow like that just to create a really subtle wing. Since I have small almond shaped eyes, I really like doing that just to kind of elongate my eyes, but I wouldn't call it like a full-on cat eye. You know, I'm just kind of making a subtle line there. And sometimes I will use the brush just to extend it. And if you need to clean up the line, I recommend taking a little concealer or even just a dry brush like this and just go right underneath. I recommend the underside layer, that way you can just kind of clean it upwards and you can see you get a really nice line that way. I don't usually apply the liner right on my waterline, which is the inner rim, unless if I'm really trying to get a more dramatic look. So for this side, I usually work from the outside in. And I'm not actually tugging on my eye, I'm just kind of placing my finger here, just sort of like as a guide. I don't know, it helps keep me more stable. Just kind of smudging that in. So now for the lower lash line. Okay, now I'm just gonna place, again, it right on the corner and flick it up towards my brow. I'm not even pressing down very hard. I'm not like drawing a line. I'm just like dabbing it and touching it because I don't want to apply too much. And I'm kind of using like the very outer corner of the brush to use to actually create that wing. And we're just gonna clean up this underneath. Now finally ready for mascara. Now that I have the liner done, really natural liner. It's not a crazy cat eye or anything. I even don't typically curl my lashes on a daily basis just because I don't really care. I just want them, you know, to look nice and defined. So for the mascara, I use the Maybelline Lash Sensational Full Fan Effect. This is my favorite mascara of all time. I repurchase it every single time I run out. I even have it like on auto ship on Amazon. All right, now that I'm done with my mascara, it's normally time for lips, and to be honest, I normally use an Urban Decay lipstick, or I use my favorite Becca like sheer lipsticks that they don't even have anymore, so I didn't want to recommend that, but this gloss I've really been liking actually from Revlon. This is the Revlon Ultra HD Vinyl Lip Polish. So I typically go with a tinted lip gloss like this, or I go with a sheer lipstick like a lip balm formula. I don't like anything really that's really matte for everyday wear, or anything that's too sticky or glossy. So I normally go with a sheer lipstick, like I said, or a tinted gloss because it's just easiest to put on every day. And this is actually pretty long wearing too. So that is it for my everyday makeup routine. As you can see, it's really natural. I like to just do very practical looks for an everyday basis because I'm usually in a hurry and I'd rather spend the time on my hair. So I have been trying to really scale back my makeup routine and make it very quick, and hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing this. Let me know if you have any other makeup video requests, because I would love to still incorporate some makeup videos on my channel. So if you're interested in checking out any of these products as well as the drugstore alternatives that I mentioned, I will list out everything on the blog post that goes with this video, which will be the first link in the description box down below. And if you have not yet subscribed, I would love for you to join my YouTube family. We talk all things naturally curly hair, everyday beauty, and some other stuff here and there as well. So I hope to see you back next week. Bye everyone.